NGOs and scammers. So embassies, corporate NGOs and scammers.
Yeah.
So people who have the budget to stay in town because the offices or wherever they need to be are there, and that's what they do. Or people who scam and enjoy the luxury high-end places.
Yeah.
What happens over time? What happens over time is some of the luxury high-end buildings then become filled with scammers.
Hello, welcome to the Great Return podcast, where we have conversations rooted in wealth creation and African development for and by people of African heritage. I am Lordy Emen, your host, and our mission at TGR Africa is to contribute to making people of Black heritage and the African continent prosperous through business and investments. Today, we are discussing what diasporans need to know, major trends in the Ghanaian real estate market. And for that conversation, I have invited back again Henry Asenso of Kuro Africa. Welcome, Henry.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, it's really lovely to have you. Before we start, as usual, I would like you to tell us a bit more about yourself.
Yep.
And about your journey, how Kuro Africa came to be, and essentially what it is that it is doing. What problem it is solving.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Henry Asenso, founder of Kuro Africa. We've been in operation for about coming up to 6 years now. We collect data around real estate, and we overlay it with population, infrastructure data to try and predict and inform where the next hotspots are going to be, where the trends are going, because information and data is rare in the system. So we're curating our own proprietary data set to help investors make more informed decisions into Ghana. How it came about, before the year of return, I wanted to invest in Ghana, whether it be have a business or maybe secure a piece of land, whatever. And I came from real estate investing where there was a lot of transparency. And then here it was just completely the opposite. So I started to build the data set so I could do my own personal analysis, and then it became valuable to others. And we've wrapped around a research service around it as well.
So, I mean, we at TGR Africa, we are really appreciative of what you're doing with Kuro Africa because it serves such a solution, because even we ourselves, a lot of people you speak to, no idea in terms, there's not been any serious market gathering, market intelligence when it comes to real estate. So I want to start by saying for most diasporans, real estate investing is a huge thing. Everybody knows about it. Most people, either for a home to eventually come to or just for the investment. However, when it comes to the market intelligence element of it, it's not even talked about that much, to be honest. I mean, the fact we know it wasn't there before you started all this, but it's not even talked about. Even today, I don't think it's really that much talked about, apart from when we have conversations like we're having today. So why do you think, do you want to explain to our viewers and listeners why trend analysis is so important to both for real estate in terms of business, but even to where you build your home?
Yeah, I mean, look, generally data is looked at as the new oil, right? We're in the AI age. In which you can't do anything with AI unless your data is of a high quality. And it's been realized all across the world. And a big reason why I even got into data, and I only started even learning about it in 2019, is because when I was envisaging my move, I said, okay, I realized that one, it's advantageous to have hard currency coming in, and In order to do that, it'd be advantageous to get a remote job. In order to get a remote job, you have to have a skill set that is very highly desired, that people are prepared to let you work from anywhere to do. And that's where data analytics came in.
Right.
Because I was researching what is the most in-demand skill, and they were like data science, data analytics. So I started learning.
Okay.
And as I was learning, I was using Ghana as my example test cases to understand trends, spot differences, those kind of things. So all mature markets, the most mature markets have the most investment when it comes to data.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So the most transparent markets, and transparency comes from government policy, transaction data. That's probably the heaviest weighted, right? So in US, UK, wherever, most Western world, you can find out on what date a property was bought on and for what price, right? So generally you will know to what like range you should be paying for a property, you know, accounting for inflation, accounting for nearby properties, etc. I even had a conversation with the Valuers Association here.
Okay.
Because I was speaking at an event and one of them came up to me and was like, we just have a blanket assumption that data doesn't exist here. And so how have you done it? And I was like, there's data everywhere. Just that nobody collates it and analyzes it and does it enough so that you can understand the trend. And I was like, how do you do it? Well, we have our insiders. We find out what was sold here or blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, that's great. But there's no, at least from my visibility, I know there isn't any registration of transaction data. What the Lands Commission is primarily concerned with is the interest rights. So who owns, not when it was sold and how much for. And when it comes to when it was sold and how much for, people often understate that in order to avoid paying tax.
Paying tax, yes.
So the inefficiencies around data governance and those kind of things actually benefit the few. So it's actually not advantageous for those few who hold all the insight and the information and the money to invest to actually make it more transparent. Because if I have erected three bedroom houses and I say I want $500,000 for each, and I say it because that's what I want, there's no way for you to test as to, is this what it's worth? And will I get appreciation or will I actually lose equity in the property? And I think that's a major risk in the Ghanaian system, that people are paying at a high frothy top end of the market. And the moment they want to sell, they're going to lose money.
Yes.
That's how I see the market. Not everyone agrees with me. I think there's a genuine kind of rainbow perspective about Ghanaian real estate, like, oh my gosh, so many returns, blah, blah, blah. But when you actually get into it, and I speak a lot with my elders all the time, and I learn from their investments, and I speak to them, I understand it, and friends and what have you. And there's another story that emerges that's completely different to this kind of like get in now, seller's market. There's like so much opportunity. You're going to make loads of money. I don't see it like that at all.
Because you do see a lot of properties that are empty, people wanting to sell their properties, but often do you feel as if the asking prices are like way out of, you know, and you're wondering, how did you come by that price? And often they don't have an answer apart from, well, that's what I want, like you're saying. So, and it's interesting you saying the few that actually have access to the information because it benefits them for the information not to be public knowledge. They don't make any effort to actually make it available. But then I suppose the market eventually will have to push for that because...
and the market has pushed for it. There's been different initiatives over the years. There was a World Bank project. What happens? Money gets squandered. But we also have this conflicting and competing allodial system and state system when it comes to land.
That's true,
Now, I actually think the allodial system is really important and useful, because actually that's where a lot of real Ghanaians purchase through, and or land and then build over time. And I think that's important to have, because it kind of keeps that Ghanaian. But what they need to do is have uniformity in the way in which the information around the transactions is happening.
Yeah.
It can be an allodial purchase, but let it still be on a public registry.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. And, you know, for example, I mean, Dubai's going through a lot right now, but when they made everything public, they've even made it more public than US or UK in terms of every transaction's registered.
Right.
Every rental agreement is registered.
Okay.
And the tax is, you can publicly see how much the government earns every day through real estate purchases in tax. You can see it. There's a public platform.
That's advanced.
So it's not even like, you know, there's a lot of conversation around blockchain technology and that kind of stuff. For me, that's jumping the gun. Just make the public registry available, make the land zoning clear. Rwanda have done it, right? They've zoned effectively. They did it in 5 years at a cost of about $11,000 per plot.
Okay.
That was hiring of people, training people, etc. And now they have a public land registry, because it gets to a point where this can be a life and death situation.
Yes,
We've got land guard issues.
Yes. Yeah.
We've got all sorts going on. So my thing is that let me be frank, in a way, our system is a bit of a joke. And until we get those fundamentals right, access to affordable debt, public land registries, zonal demarcation, effective planning, those kind of things. The moment we have too many humans in the loop.
Yes.
And
easier registration.
Easier registration. We have too many humans in the loop.
Yeah.
And when we have too many humans in the loop, you have too much room for error and too much room for corruption. So for example, as I was saying with Dubai, they were doing about $20 million a day in taxes alone.
Wow.
A day in taxes alone. And their zoning system is public on a public portal. And the way they allocate things is like, because my cousin is a real estate expert in Dubai, and he was showing me this stuff, and I was like, wow, because he heard about Kuro. We hadn't seen each other since we were kids,
right? And
he heard about Kuro. We met at an event. He's like, you don't remember me? And I was like, oh, okay, I do remember you. He's like, I'm in Dubai now. What are you doing with Kuro? Because I've seen it, like blah blah blah. Let me show you what's going on in Dubai. And when he showed me what was going on in Dubai, I was like, wow,
amazed, yeah,
because they have planned effectively. They've allocated green space, allocated parks. When a developer comes in, they have to put, I think it's 60% of the money up front. I could be corrected, but there's a significant, maybe 40% of the money up front before you can even start building.
Right.
You have a timeline to build. And if you don't meet that timeline, you lose your money. Right.
Oof.
And then when it comes to the selling, you have to, whoever you get as an agent to sell on they're registered through the system, right? And so only these people. So not only do they know sales price, transaction price, rent transaction price, they also know who has sold the most property,
right?
Like who's the top performing agent, and it's all publicly there.
Yeah.
The moment you get to that, investment will flock.
Yeah,
because people are coming and they're like, okay, but how do I know this is worth this? What's been the price change? And how do I know I'm going to get the appreciation? Because the assumption is that all real estate appreciates. No, it doesn't. Investments are investments. Some go up, some go down. Prime real estate in London is down right now, right? When the pandemic hit, commuter towns and suburban areas were up.
Yeah.
Right? Prime real estate in surrounding cities is up. But then when a cladding scandal hits, it goes down. Real estate, yes, maybe long term the trajectory may look like it's going up, but that's in environments where the transparency is there. There are various mechanisms that affect the system. Debt, cost of debt, those kind of things. You struggle to get anything under double digits interest rates here, right? In we're complaining in the UK when we're at 5%.
Exactly. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, you can see that there are various factors and mechanisms that affect the market that aren't mature here, yet we are boasting like we are a mature market.
Like we know, yes.
And we're not. So how I've helped clients along the years is, well, actually, we've collected so much data that we can start to make inferences about what's the correct unit mix for a development if you're trying to do it. Because we look at salaries, we look at time on market for real estate, we look at what is in high supply, what is in low supply, what has been the supply changes. So if one type of property is reducing over time and others are going up in terms of availability, it means that type is being absorbed and the other isn't.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people just build and be like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do 2-bedroom apartments. Do you know if the market wants 2-bedroom apartments?
Especially in that location?
Especially in that location, especially given the fact that this is the income levels of this country. You know, between independence and now, our per capita income has decreased. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, what happens is you go and build a 2-bedroom apartment. It's actually happened to one of my family members. Build a 2-bedroom apartment, nice, what have you. You end up with 6 students renting it because they split the cost amongst all of them.
Right.
Because that's what they can afford.
Yes.
You know, so it's an interesting market. I'm hopeful that progress is made, but it's got to be really intentional. Like the rent system, the sales system. There's been some introductions, real estate agency council, things like that, but it's still manual. It's still human led. Technology is the thing that makes you be able to scale a solution. And if you're not going to implement the technologies, you're asking for a human to go and collect a fee. And then when they get there, oh, Masa, please, I beg, take this, go away.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you never move forward.
Never move. Yes.
So that's my position. And I'm actually becoming a little bit more confident in asserting that position because real estate is deeply emotional in Ghana.
Yes.
And contentious. Very. So I'm just like, I've had enough of kind of massaging kind of egos. No, I've seen and analyzed the data for 6 years.
Yeah.
And as a result, I've spoken to so many investors at different stages of their journey, entering, exiting, those kind of things. And I know what's happening. You know, you can't tell me that this is whatever. And if you tell me it's really high price, and I know it is, you won't sell that property.
No.
We sat there for years, or you start using multiple agents to try and sell it. In the West, in UK especially, agencies don't deal with you unless you're on an exclusive contract.
Yes.
And they can do that because the demand levels are high and they know they can satisfy that demand.
Yes.
You know, so it's different environment, but it's interesting nonetheless.
Very, very. So we're talking, I mean, trends in real estate here in Ghana. We know why we are gathering the market intelligence now. We've talked about it, the importance of it. But what are we supposed to be tracking and following when we are gathering this information? I suppose this is some of what you have, things that you track and follow. So what factors influence the trends?
That's a good question. So what we are tracking mainly is what we can find publicly available. And then we refresh it every month to understand what's changing. Right. And sometimes things don't change for a long time. So you widen the scope. But anyway, the main things that we kind of look at is the minimum price, the average price, the maximum price, the median price, because the average and the median can be vastly different. The median is more kind of usable. We look at price distribution, what prices occur most for a particular search. We look at the price trend over time. And with all of those factors, we look at comparable areas. We look at time on market. How long has something been listed for? Will that give you extra leverage in negotiation? Someone might be getting desperate, those kind of things. So all of those aspects are the outputs of what we are doing. But then our outputs are dependent on the variables that are our inputs. So location, bedroom size, property type. So if you adjust any of those variables, all those numbers I spoke to about will change depending on that variable.
Right.
So if I said 2-bedroom apartments in Tema Community 25, it will give me the average, median, price distribution, typical bedroom size, those kind of things. And with the overlay of the census data that we took from 2021, Ghana took a census, made some of it, actually they made it available. We applied machine learning to predict where the population would go up until 2040. And we also kind of collected some data around salaries. Then we can start to understand affordability, occupancy likelihood, all of those figures is what we're developing now. And I'll give you some exclusive information. We're working now on doing some kind of stuff around satellite imagery.
Okay.
And historical satellite imagery and what that means in terms of, is this the next East Legon?
Okay.
What are the patterns that are emerging? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
So because, you know, I've had to think about what our service and product is a lot, because in an AI world, when you have mature data, you can automate the end-to-end real estate process.
Right.
There's somebody recently, one of my friends has a set of my friends has a venture capital firm, and they invested in this firm that is basically automating the end-to-end real estate process.
Right.
But they can only do it in mature markets where they can pull the right information. If you've got dirty data at the bottom, it's not going to work.
It won't work, yeah.
So we've had to think about how we are pivoting to satisfy a market that has kind of informal systems, and how do we extract value from that, and how do we make sense of it? So those are the kind of things we're looking at.
That's very interesting, because you can, especially with the old satellite imagery, as time goes on, you can just see a story like unfolding. So very, very interesting. So now I want us to look at the trends diaspora real estate investors need to know.
Yeah.
So I want us to talk through them with certain indicators. So I'll start with the economic indicators, such as GDP, inflation, interest rate, growth of middle class, how these are affecting the real estate market, and whether these trends are likely to continue for the foreseeable future.
So you touched on a couple of important ones there. Actually, back in 2012, when I was doing my MBA, I put together an argument that GDP is irrelevant for developing markets, because GDP takes into account revenues or profits that can be extracted from the country. Your better measure is GNP, gross national product per capita, because then it's like, what are Ghanaians producing?
Exactly.
So that's something to look for.
So just so people understand, I think we even spoke about this recently. GDP, so a lot of, a typical example is the mining sector.
Yep.
We extract a lot. How much of that is actually retained here in Ghana?
Yep.
We have a lot of foreign-owned mines.
Yep.
And apart from the taxes they pay, the percentages and stuff like that, a lot of what is generated gets sent to wherever they are coming from. So that doesn't stay in the country. So, but GDP is taking all of that into account.
Yes.
So we have big mining results, big, you know, some of the agri sector and stuff, but it's not staying in the country. So that's what you're talking about.
So yeah, that's why I say GNP is a better measure per capita. The middle class growth is an important measure. And yeah, I think the middle class, it will inevitably grow, but I think we need to keep a close eye on kind of our industrialization and things like that, which we seem to have a firm desire towards with the 24-hour economy, those kind of things. But how does it manifest into kind of cities and people's pockets? Is another story. But at the end of the day, there is a deficit in housing, 1.8 to 2 million units. But it's at a price point that is not what the supply is providing. So
there's a mismatch.
There's a big mismatch. That's why you have empty properties, like you said.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's actually the low to middle income where the gap is. And you know, the funny thing is, doing this work, and actually I'm meeting someone after this who's doing it. You know, the people that are actually coming in to solve that problem is diasporans. Diasporans are coming in and saying, they probably, like one example I've got, they bought high-end real estate and then realized, hold on a second, if me, like it was friends, if the two of us put that same money together, we could have done an apartment block, done affordable, and we would have done well.
Yeah.
Right? And there's others that, and I think that's the thing that's uniquely Ghanaian, and you know, when you're a Ghanaian, if you have land passed to you and those kind of things, you make your money in the West, and then you can build something and, you know, can be affordable, those kind of things. But again, even on the landlord side, there are some systemic issues that block your ability to really provide that service and that capacity in a way that is valued by the system and respected by the system. So simple things of like, well, can I trust somebody to look after the apartment I'm going to give them?
Yeah.
Right? There are things in place like credit scoring, but it's not widely adopted. Those kind of measures where it's like, oh, okay, well, this person's a good tenant. I can assess them, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to mess up my house or my development, those kind of things. So there's a lot of triggers, and it's not just, okay, bad landlords or bad developers and negativity towards them. There's also, on the renter side, people can trash your place if you're not careful.
Yeah, indeed.
So that middle income growth is really important. And that's why we help clients, for example, when we're doing research, we're looking like, where are the nearest employment nodes? What is comprised of that employment node? Is it schools, teachers that would be renting from you? You know, when we did some work out on the Eastern Corridor, we were looking for things like, you know, where's the nearest free zone and what are they doing there? What are they producing? How, you know, what's the ratio of senior manager to staff?
Right.
You know, those kind of things. And what that brought out was so interesting that some of the staff, even though my client was targeting low income, some of the staff were having so much low income that they were pooling their money and staying in one of the warehouses. You know what I mean? And then the supervisor is like, this is my budget. So actually what happened was, it was like the people that would actually rent, even at that low level, were the factory owners who were Chinese.
Right.
Because actually the income levels were that low.
Compared to...
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't even like, he wasn't asking for huge money.
Right.
But it was actually, well, this is the pocket that you can aim for. Or you get two supervisors sharing. Right. Or let's go and talk to the school and see, you know, that's the kind of on the ground research we're doing now with Kuro, because everything we do from a desk and with the data is useful.
Yes.
But then we need to validate it on the ground. And that's where our pivot came last year. And it was like, actually, we can really help people understand the market in its entirety. Because so many people are building blind. Like, I'm going to do apartments, I'm going to do 2 bedrooms.
Yes.
And, you know, that's it. It's like, okay, but is that what the market wants? Indeed. Is it what the market can afford? That's what we try and help with.
Yeah. And I think often too, when a place is coming up, I know where we are living now, when we first bought the land, because it wasn't built, it's very difficult to understand where it's going to be.
Yep.
But then with the work you do, you could probably, if we had that, we could probably have had some kind of idea as to which way to go.
Yeah.
Because number one, you know who is selling the property, the underground, what they normally put in place, and so what kind of properties you'll be expecting to come. Do you find in terms of urban compared to sort of the rural areas, is it the same kind of, how do I say? Because I suppose with urban, with rural areas, it's easier to have property occupancy as opposed to Accra, where we have a lot of the empty properties, where the supply, what I'm trying to get at is the supply demand a bit more effective when you move outside of Accra?
That's a really good question. The challenge in Accra is the land prices.
Right.
And because the land prices are so high and people are expecting a return, they have to price high. But the problem with that is that nobody can afford it. That's why your occupancy rates are a problem. That's why people travel from Kaswa to come and work here. You know, I think outside, it's all basic economics on price. At a certain price point, the demand sits.
Yes.
And at another price point, it's not there, right? And the Accra real estate issue is that the prices are inflated. And when people price, because we are so land-centric culturally, when people are pricing, they're pricing with what the current value of the land is, not what they paid for it. They may have paid $8,000 in Chano, but because people are saying it's $200,000 now, they build a house and say it's $600.
Yes.
Right? But you pay $8,000 for the land.
Yeah.
But you spent this time. And the other thing that what I find strange that people don't take into account is actually how much time do you have left on the lease? What's the renewal cost? Because there's no standard calculation, all those kind of things. So I think in general, the Accra landscape is highly distorted.
Yeah.
Highly distorted. But there's a real market around it and a little bit inside of it as well, but mostly around it and the outskirts and those kind of things. Because of that kind of strange dichotomy, you have the situations where someone might be selling a plain piece of land for $250,000 in a prime area, but somebody will be selling a land with a house on it for less.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
And that's what I keep seeing. And that's what I kind of help clients with. And it's like, oh yeah, I want to build in this area. And that's why a lot of developers now are going for old houses on big plots of land and saying joint venture. I'll knock your house down. I'll give you an apartment and then, we'll do what we're doing. So it's a fascinating system. It's a highly inefficient system. It's a strange system. And unfortunately, it's a system that's missing the opportunity of the eyeballs that are focusing on it right now. Because every time someone tries to get in, they're stung. It's so normal for us to talk about Ghanaian real estate as like, oh, this is what you need to do to reduce the risk. And why is there a risk in the first place? Why doesn't the system work?
Yes, it doesn't.
And it's not, oh, this is Africa. No, there are other countries that get it right. So in Africa. So that's how I see it.
Okay. So secondly, I'd like us to look at demographics and population growth. What trends can we see with these and how is it impacting real estate sector?
So we have a healthy demographic chart. So it's big on the bottom with the youth and smaller at the top. There's a couple of benefits and risks to that. From a risk side, if that youth don't have enough to do, it's
a big problem.
Or enough to earn, it can be a big problem. The benefit of it is that we have a lot of talented youth. I mean, African ingenuity knows no bounds. Restricted resources and trying to achieve things makes you greater. So that's really important. But the challenge is how big can that middle class grow? Because if all of everyone, the vast majority sits at the bottom in terms of age, but then they also sit at the bottom in terms of income, then you don't have a thriving society. You have a stagnant one. So what we're seeing is, so some of the data we've collected, segmentation of population based on kind of employment types. So we have that data, and then there's kind of associated salaries that would come with that, those kind of things. And then what you hear on the ground and what have you. If you're doing a simple development of single unit apartments, you have higher occupancy rate.
Okay.
Because if you do, like, that's why people are searching chamber and hall. If you can bring a similar thing to the market, that's what the market needs and wants. That's where the deficit is.
Okay. But is that more to do with the price point, or is that purely the demographic?
Well, that's a wonderful question. It's both.
It's both, yeah.
The price point primarily is what people can afford.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
it.
That's the first point.
That's the first point. But most people who can afford it fall into that demographic, right? And across the age groups, the affordability isn't much varied, right? There are different people in different industries, professional services, those kind of things that can afford more. Cool. But that's not the large proportion of people. That's what we're seeing.
Yeah. I think we've talked a bit about the supply and demand tensions, but can we focus on it a bit more in terms of what that's doing for the housing sector in Ghana, the demand and supply availability?
Right. So there's a couple of things. So there's supply, demand, price, right? And the problem that we have is because the land prices have been inflated. When people build on land, the prices are really high. So what you tend to happen in the prime areas where the supply is high is actually, it's not really diaspora. I mean, diaspora a proportion. It's actually wealthy Ghanaians who are purchasing them.
Yeah.
Because it acts, we had our bond market crash not too long ago. It acts as a really good hedge against the dollar. Because the developers often give you favorable exchange rates for your cities.
Right.
So high earners in Ghana and the high earners in diaspora come and they purchase these as like, okay, well, cool. Like, you know, I have cities. If I don't spend it or if I don't exchange it for something, a store of wealth, it's going to depreciate.
Yes. But they know that.
Yeah. Not so much now, which makes it a little bit even less of an attractive proposition. But anyway, when they have them, the challenge is that there's so much supply at the high end. The only people that can afford it is embassies, NGOs, and scammers.
Oh, scammers.
Those are the only guys.
Wow.
Embassies, NGOs, and scammers. So embassies, corporate NGOs, and scammers.
Yeah.
So people who have the budget to stay in town because the offices or wherever they need to be are there, and that's what they do. Or people who scam and enjoy the luxury high-end places.
Yeah.
What happens over time? What happens over time is some of the luxury high-end buildings then become filled with scammers.
Oh, wow.
They become filled with scammers.
Really?
And they deteriorate really quickly because the scammers come in, and when they come in, it's not like they come in there to kind of work on their laptops remotely or whatever. They come in here and they're doing drugs, they're whatever.
Right.
And they are the ones staying by the poolside. You know, one of my clients, he bought one in a brand new building. At first, it's all good, nice, whatever But then what happens is the Airbnb market, because and before I used to run an Airbnb management company for like 5 years.
Okay.
I used to take care of like the elders' properties here.
Okay.
And 60% of my requests were scammers. About 60%.
Really?
I had to turn away more people because the first request I got when I first started was a scammer. They come in, then all of a sudden the card isn't working. Can I pay you cash? They take it off platform. Airbnb find out about it. They try and ban you.
Right.
That's what happens to a lot of people. So what happens over time is when it first goes up, it's really nice. People like it, blah, blah, blah. You get a few apartments, whatever. You buy an apartment, you're in there. Over time, because nobody can actually afford it, the only thing you can take is scammer money.
Right.
And if you take it directly, you risk your profiles on Airbnb, Booking.com. So what tends to happen is people use the staff, the receptionists and what have you, and just say, look after this. I can't manage it myself. And then they get walk-ins take the money, put it into an account, so you're getting paid. But the money is coming from scammers.
Right.
And over time, more and more scammers populate these buildings and they deteriorate, they're smoking.
So they are renting them as Airbnb and staying in them.
Airbnb, they'll do short-term Airbnb. They give money. They'll use it to go and stay. I mean, what are you going to do with money that you haven't earned and you live in Ghana?
Yes.
Go stay in a plush place, buy nice clothes, blah, blah, blah. So what you'll find is the guys walking around with their little man purses, Gucci flip-flops.
Dear God.
And that's what happened. So it happened to a client of mine. And after about a year or 2 years of owning the place, he was like, his laundry bill went up so high because people coming in and out, making a mess of the place. And then he went to spend some time there himself, went up to the lounge and the rooftop terrace. And he was just like, it was just a lot of riffraff there. So this is the kind of stuff that you see on the ground when you're in the industry and you have to do reports and like research for people. And you're like, hang on a second. You may buy this studio because it's an attractive sticker price, $65,000-$70,000.
Yeah. But
are you better off spending $150 on a smaller unit?
Yeah.
Where the owner's looking for real people, So it's a wild market, and these are stories you're never going to hear.
No.
You're never going to hear.
No.
But when you're on the ground and like you speak to enough people and people come to you for insight,
you
realize here's some of the fallbacks. And the other things that happens as well is people buy at a sticker price. Maybe one story I heard recently, somebody bought an apartment, $180,000, 2-bedroom apartment. And by the time, they needed to liquidate, because also you're paying service charges.
Yes.
So, if I put 180,000 into the stock market, I can expect 7% a year. If I put 180,000 into Ghanaian real estate, I can expect to spend 10 to 12% a year on service charge.
Right. Okay.
So that same 180k either makes money or I pay.
You pay to own a place.
Yeah. But then what happens sometimes is, and this doesn't happen with everything, but if you haven't got something unique about the development and there's a block and there's 400 apartments in there and you're trying to sell one, someone else might be trying to sell, and you end up taking less than what you paid for it.
Yeah.
I've had experiences, and that experience what I was talking about, maybe it was, I think it was 180, ended up selling for 120. They lost 60k on it because they needed the money. And the only person that was willing to pay was willing to pay less than what they paid for it. 60k loss. I've seen worse.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen worse. And I think I don't often say
this is the bubble, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't often say it. And that's what I'm saying. Even if it bursts, it won't burst overtly because the mechanisms in the system aren't standard. You're not all paying mortgages.
Yeah.
You've paid outright from your pocket. You want to get the same money back, but there's no buyers. So then someone says, well, I got 120 for you.
Yeah.
If you want to take it, it depends how desperate you are.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I really need that money. Take it.
Yeah.
And there are others that have done that. Some people that have built apartment buildings, become cash strapped, and there's no buyers. You price it at $250,000. If you price it at $250,000 and there was sub 2-digit interest rate mortgages, okay, maybe because people can use debt. But you asking for $250,000 on a 1-year payment plan. Who has $250,000 sitting in their account just normally?
Yeah.
Very few people in the world. Very few people in the world even have $10,000.
Exactly. Yes.
So because of those market dynamics, it doesn't make sense. So over time, what's going to happen is there's going to be more empty apartments.
Yeah.
There's going to be more frustrated landlords that look to get out, and there'll be better deals. Yeah. And the market will slowly come down, but it won't be obvious.
No.
Because there's no public information. So it's this kind of circle of cloak and mirrors.
Yes.
That's what.
So certainly if you're thinking of investing in the real estate in prime locations here, you really need to be careful.
You need to be careful. You need to be careful. And remember, your off-plan purchase is part of their financing. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe you could, this is what I do for clients. Sometimes I'm like, well, actually, is there a smaller developer, maybe Ghanaian developer, that has more tied to the land, or maybe potentially an interest in the land. Like maybe they know who the freeholder is, so they can put in pre-established clauses around the renewal. Right. So you don't come to the end of a term and it's like, oh, I've got to pay for the same place again. Yeah. Which is not likely anyway. Yes. That's who I work with from a developer side. I work with smaller, family-oriented, local developers who are fairer on price, no hype, you know, better character. You know, I've got a client right now that I work with, and I help them do things like run surveys in the diaspora. What would you need? What would you want? Would you want a pool, or would you want to pay 30% less service charge? And then they can make a decision. And you know, that's you've got to be smart. What's shiny and obvious is often not worth it. Yeah. So it's the same in the West. When you get these brand new high rises and what have you, brand new homes, people buy into them, and after a while they realize they've got negative equity. They have to, when they sell them, they're not going to get as much. Maybe it's not as characterful, maybe it's not as well built, those kind of things. You see it all over the place. Human patterns are consistent. Yes. They don't change. Yeah. And what I see in Ghana is because they don't have the systems of the variables of other systems, they're expecting the same outcomes. Yeah. But it's not possible. It's not. I mean, because we are talking about the supply and demand and then the price point. Recently I saw like I don't know how many floors this building is. Yeah. Very, very nice. But a floor on the building, it's like just over 1.5 million for that apartment. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't want to. But when I saw that, I sent it to my husband actually, just like, hey.
Buy it for you.
I mean, is that real?
Yeah, it's real. It's real.
It's like,
it's real.
I'm not talking about just that. I'm just thinking like, are there apartments costing that much in Ghana?
Yeah. And with that 1.6 million, you probably get a $800 a month service charge bill.
Really?
That's the crazy thing. Yeah. You'll pay a service charge because you're part of an overall building that needs to be maintained. Yes. I'm not against service charges, but it's within kind of reasonable service charges. Because some people are asking for $300 a month, $50 a month. My home in the UK is on a brand new converted airfield, and my service charge is £375 a year. Yes. People are almost asking for that a month in Ghana.
Exactly. Sometimes this is the thing we try to put across to diasporans, that don't be thinking Ghana is cheap.
Nah.
And don't be comparing. You can't even compare it to, I mean, you know, UK, US. No. And then some people say, oh, but it's Accra, so you need to look at it like London or New York, or I'm like, even that, because there are people living in London who don't pay so much. So it's still got to be realistic.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, you know, you shouldn't compare just the fact that, okay, this is the capital city. You should compare the components of the system.
Yes.
Do you have affordable debt? Do you have undersupply or oversupply? UK has massive undersupply, massive demand.
Yeah.
Even if your apartment was empty, you just ring up the local authority and be like, I've got no empty apartment. They'll put someone in there at market rate immediately. We have nothing like that here. No. It's purely private. So, you know, you don't compare the geography, you compare the makeup of the system. And when you compare the makeup of the system, then you realize, hang on a second, this doesn't make sense.
No, the amenities,
you know,
infrastructure.
UK, you get free schooling, right? Whatever the quality is, how you get free schooling. Here you don't.
Yeah.
Well, you can, but you know. So all of those things, but all of those things,
especially if you're looking at real estate in prime locations.
Yeah. I mean, you can't compare when you don't have the same systems. You should be comparing systems, not geographies.
Yeah.
This is a capital city, this is a capital city, but this one has a state, what do you call it? A state institution that funds people that don't work and will pay for people's rent.
Yeah.
This system doesn't have that at all. This system has interest rate of 5%, and people were complaining about, but did have interest rates of 1%. This system has interest rates of 15%, 20%, etc.
Yeah.
So they're not comparable systems.
Yes.
Yeah, there might be both capital cities, but they're not comparable systems.
No.
This system has public transport, NHS, whatever. This system has bad roads. You can't compare them.
Yeah, no.
So then how can they be the same price? They're the same price because this is a distorted market.
It is, yes.
And this is a market that is a transparent one. So that's why their price makes sense and this price doesn't.
It doesn't, yeah. I mean, even in the UK, there was a time when we had a real estate boom.
Yeah.
And especially the London real estate boom was also heavily overpriced in certain areas because of foreigners who were buying these properties. So we do have that kind of scenario everywhere. But in Accra, I just think it is the distortion is just too much, if you like.
But the difference between London and Accra is the demand is so much higher in London.
Yes, that's true.
The demand for anything and the income is so much higher in London.
Yeah.
The demand for property, just places to live, is so high. So, but even in UK, now that interest rates have gone up, government incentives have been removed, help to buy and things like that. Now that market's starting to slow down because the variables and the mechanisms in the system affect each other.
Yes.
Whereas we don't have the variables and the mechanisms that affect it. Just prices go up.
Yes.
But then when you need to sell, that's when you get the good deals.
Then you can, yes. Yeah. Okay, so we move on.
Yeah.
The final bit I want us to look at with these indicators that you look at when we are looking at the trends is a legal framework. So, I mean, particularly in terms of legal, there's been recent legislation regarding landlord tenants. But apart from that, I also want you to discuss the legal framework when it comes to buying land, buying property, and how interacting with the legal people and the regulatory people and how you think that's affecting property trends.
Good. Really good question, actually, because I wasn't sure where that was going, but I think it'd be a good one. So, because of the inefficiencies in governance and legal, that also contributes to the inflation of price. Because if you can get a solid title, solid buyer, you're not going to go through Wahala, that will come at a premium because this system is inefficient. So it's so crazy, actually, how much of a premium that comes at. In fact, it's something that I want to kind of do a study on, is how much of a premium will you get for just having something that's solid and transparent? Because it is a significant premium. I'm not going to have land guards. I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to have, you know, someone's disputing. That comes with a premium. And people will tend to flock towards there, which means the price can go up.
Yeah.
Because it's typical supply demand. Hassle-free land and property purchases are harder to find here.
Yeah.
That's why apartments are attractive. Because apartments, there is somebody that is held accountable for you doing it. But even then, I've had instances, a client where he's gone with a developer, he's paid money off plan, then they didn't get building approval because their building's too high.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So...
But you would have thought that would have been done before people buying it off plan.
But that's the thing is with the system here, because you need to secure the land, possession is 9/10.
Yes.
So actually you start building before you even got the permits.
Yeah.
To make sure that, okay, it's mine. I built this. Here's my receipts.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's the kind of, But if I say
and
anything, some
I
people
think
will be like,
this is because I was just speaking to somebody this morning regarding registering land.
Yeah.
And the sort of the route to doing it, but it's also the expense.
Expense, yeah.
And then they were now telling me, oh, that's what most people, if it's your home and you're living in it, they don't register it. They just don't.
Yeah.
But they forget that person living in it, okay, if they bought it and they've lived in it, one day they are not going to be there.
Yeah.
And that's when the problem starts. And so there are a lot of legacy situations like that, where now it's like it's not been registered.
Yeah.
So you can't even go to the Lands Commission to verify that you are selling me the land, it belongs to you. But you two are saying, oh, this is my even my grandfather bought this land.
It's a problem. It's a massive problem. And the fact of it is, I come from a kind of technology background in terms of, I'm not a coder or anything, but I used to work for a firm that implemented systems for corporations.
Right.
And organizations are effectively large organisms, and you need to be able to share information. The problem in Ghana is that most things are manual. There is no system to say, what we are great with is legislation.
We're
great with legislation, drawing up laws, but then implementation of those laws, we are an abject failure because we don't adopt technologies. Instead, we will put a new office and people in the office and go and check that people have paid whatever they need to pay. And then if someone doesn't want to pay it, they'll just say, oh, take that. And then you go away.
Yeah.
But if you have a system, like, for example, you're talking about rent and rent control and those kind of things. New rent commissioners come in. Great. I actually think the guy's really passionate, really, really passionate about what he does. But if he is now going to implement a new card, that makes no sense. You have a Ghana card. That should be your primary key, right? So what is you go to whatever department, and with your Ghana card as a landlord, you get a landlord license.
Yes.
And you have the right to lease. And only then can you issue a short tenancy agreement.
Yeah.
And as a renter with your Ghana card, you should have some financial footprint, some credit check or something like that.
Yes.
That's where you need to get to, but you can't get there without the systems.
No.
And
creating more newer systems just compounds the problem.
Don't do a new card. You don't need a new card.
No.
Use the one card. I heard that you actually can start making payments with a Ghana card now.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Exactly.
That's really good because then your financial footprint is in one card.
Yes.
Right? And look, if systems spoke to each other, you wouldn't have to run around trying to figure out who's a landlord or not, or tell landlords come. You go to the building permit people and say, who has a permit for residential apartments? They are landlords.
Yeah.
Right? Let's go and check with them what the situation. Have you got your landlord license? And even when you go for the permit, all right, we can't issue this permit until you sign up for your landlord license.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Or what your intention? Are you buying to sell or buying to whatever? Buying to rent? Building to rent or building to sell?
It's crazy. It's crazy. So essentially, if they kept everything in one place, because they even have this citizen app. So if they kept everything together, linking to the Ghana card, essentially they could be giving sort of landlord references or numbers linked to the Ghana card, where they can then have tenants, and tenants will be the same. If you're going to rent somewhere, they will just use your Ghana card and put it in the system. There will be somewhere to put it if you're renting, for instance, and maybe track things that way.
Yeah, because the problem is, as long as when you don't have a system to be like, okay, database of like, here's a record of a tenancy agreement, here's the blah, 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 renewal period, whatever. You can always go in and reference, someone has a query or contention. Okay, this, what you're dealing with. But at the moment, we're appointing individuals to do the works of systems.
Yes.
And when you do that, you're always trailing in the mud.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anywhere. So, and we have so many talented people that build systems. My whole platform's built by Ghanaians. They're all like young Ghanaians.
Yeah.
What I'm building in the future is built by African kids. So I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. Okay. So we now move on to our final section where we're going to look at, now that we have all this information,
yes,
the trends and all of that, the information that your system provides, what are real estate investors going to do with the information? So taking the major trends, how can diasporans use that information to guide their real estate investment decisions?
Yeah, so I think because of the nature of Ghana, the data is always going to be very powerful in understanding outliers, even low price outliers, to say this is unrealistic for me, is this potentially a scam, or whatever. But there's nothing like getting on the ground.
Yes.
Because getting on the ground, you're going to see with your eyes progress of roads, what's really occupied versus isn't, all those things. We can infer. That's what we do as a service. We use our desk research. I mean, you can use our platform yourself, but if you really want to have decision grade intelligence, we use our data set to understand and come up with some hypotheses that we go and test in the field. So it's like, okay, we think that there's a high supply of 2-bedroom apartments, but we need to question if that's just because that's a building trend or because that's what the market wants. So anybody who needs to make a decision is going to manually, in Ghana, research to figure out how much should I be charging in rent. Manually go and find out. We automate that. Right? And we pull that in and tell you, okay, this is the range you should be paying, blah, blah, blah. It's all there, self-serve. But getting on the ground and seeing, okay, and also one thing that we're doing as well is we're doing time on market analysis. So how many times does the same thing come up in our database to say how long has it been on the market for?
Right.
To say, okay, how attractive is this as a proposition? But then getting on the ground, then we can say, oh, actually, well, we've come into this area and you want to know about, maybe building an apartment, whatever. This side of the road is better than this side of the road, right? That kind of thing. It's like down to that minutia detail. I was working for a client recently and I was like, they were looking at Tema Community 25. And actually, Tema Community 25, there's a real Community 25 Tema, a gated community.
Right.
And then everything else is just referred to as Community 25.
Oh, I see.
Right? So then it was like, okay, well, you know what you need to do is, if you're going to do anything, you should do it between this point and this point and on this side of the road.
Right. Wow. That's like precise.
That's what we're doing on this side of the road, because on that side of the road, it's a little bit more industrial. This side is a little bit more residential. On this side of the road, you're directly connected to the free zone. And so, you maybe get some expats coming in to work at the free zone, that kind of thing. It gets down to that when you're making investment decisions. I get it. Sometimes you're past a piece of land and you're going to do something on it. But when you're going to invest, you have to really get on the ground. Start with data, 100%. Yes. We have that proprietary data set, use it. But actually making investment grade decisions, because even down to an apartment, you could be spending 100K on an apartment.
Exactly. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And it might have been 10 years, 15, 20 years of your savings. And then you buy it and it's like, why is no one coming to rent it? Because you haven't done your due diligence.
Yes.
So it's those kind of things. Because some people, you might have a super high rise, shiny building, whatever. But most of the corporates like the low rise, right by the airport, spacious, older ones.
Yeah.
If you don't have that knowledge, you're going to pick something up and be like, okay, I'm expecting to get this rental income. And then it's costing you every month in service charge. And then it's getting to a point where it's like, oh, I actually need to lower my rent to get someone to come in, those kind of things. So that's what you do with the information.
Yeah. So essentially, people can use Kuro Africa as a self-serve point to get whatever information they can. But am I getting from you that if they need further work, you are able to work with them as well?
That's the core of our business.
Right.
It's like, we look at it like, if you're going to, don't make $100,000 mistake.
Yes.
For the cost of a price of a ticket to come. Right?
Yeah.
So we do on-field, on-the-ground research, even when we're working with developers who come through us, we only accept people that are within a certain range of the median price for their type of property.
Okay, yeah.
And then also, we only accept people who are transparent enough to say, can you send us your documents for your lease?
Right, okay.
Right? And are you willing to engage us to do some research for you on where you should price this to make it attractive for buyers?
Right.
When they say those things, we work with them.
Then
We've
you
got
know
one
you
client
can.
right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that we're doing that with.
Right.
And unique property, unique development. It's not a high rise. It's low number of units. Good price. They've been transparent. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Because everything else is just noise. People, don't get me wrong, people can go for the high rises and what have you, but the risk is there. And the risk with anything is there.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. So individuals building houses for themselves, real estate developers, investors. The other thing to round it off that I would like you to tell us is, apart from real estate, apart from using it for real estate, is there any other things that they can use Kuro Africa for?
Yeah. So from our technology perspective, remember, it's real estate, infrastructure, population, amenities. So even if you took and health facilities,
right?
Even if you took real estate out, you can use population, salary, population distribution to understand, where will I place my business? Where's my optimum place to put? Like, who's got the most disposable income? Those kind of things. You'll have to kind of generate that insight from the information we have available.
Right.
But we engage on a business side. I'm actually like a business consultant by profession. I'm a management consultant.
Okay.
Work for big 4 consulting companies, those kind of things. So what I do with my team, and my team's growing now, is I teach them on consulting skills on how to take ambiguity, data, and provide insight and direction and decision grade intelligence, both from a business perspective and a real estate perspective. And we're all on the ground. So that's what makes it easier. So yeah, real estate just was the problem I was trying to address or solve for myself.
Yes, at the beginning.
Yeah, but generally we have data that helps you make better decisions on market entry generally into Ghana.
Okay. So that brings us to the end of today.
Amazing.
Is there anything at all you want to end the conversation with?
No, I think, look, I think, look, thanks again for having me. I'm a big believer in Ghana. I'm a big believer in Africa. But I don't have rose tinted glasses. I think there is opportunity in the market, but the best opportunity is always going to be the most unique and the most rare. It's hard to find. It's not in your face. So that's where we try to help our clients. And also from a developer side, the best people you want in your development, they are also unique, rare, and hard to find, so maybe less so on that side, but just do your due diligence. Even if it's not through us, just do your due diligence, because it's not an environment that reflects what you're used to in the West.
No, we're saying there are issues, but we are not saying don't invest.
Oh, no, I'm not saying don't invest. No way. Look, there's going to be asymmetric upside, but you need to know where it is. You have to investigate where it is. It's not just everywhere.
No.
It's nuggets, kernels of gold that are there, People come, Indians have come and started selling Gary.
I tell you.
Because everyone eats Gary every day.
Exactly.
So, those kind of things. People come and do water, but you need to understand the landscape. You need to get on the ground. It's not what you're used to, not what I was used to either. So you have to
learn a lot.
You learn a lot through the process.
Yeah. And thanks so much to you, our viewers and listeners as well, for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button now if you've not already done so. And do share and like to amplify our voices to create the positive change we need. And don't forget to grab yourself a copy of our book, The Great Return, which is on Amazon in all forms. And if you're doing or thinking of doing business or investing in Ghana or the rest of Africa, then we can help. Get in touch by visiting our website, tgrafrica.com, and book a consultation to discuss all forms of collaborations and partnerships, either with us or with others. and also for business and investment advice and guidance. And also, last but not least, to check out all the other great stuff we're doing and how you can get involved. See you in the next episode.